A major shift in palace protocol has just been authorized by the king, and it is sending shockwaves through the royal family's extended circle. For generations, the sprawling estates of the British monarchy have served as a private sanctuary for a wide array of relatives, distant cousins, and close friends of the crown. But today, that era of open-door hospitality has come to a definitive and, for some, devastating end. King Charles III has officially signed what insiders are calling the Working Royal-Only Residency Mandate. This is not just a minor administrative update or a simple change to the palace rulebook. It is a hardline decree that fundamentally alters who is allowed to call a royal palace home. From this moment forward, the king has decreed that only those currently performing official duties for the crown will have long-term access to sovereign-owned apartments and grace and favor residences. This move has created an immediate and palpable curiosity gap across the United Kingdom and around the world. People are asking the same questions. Who is about to lose their keys? Which members of the family are being told to pack their bags? And perhaps most importantly, why did Prince William and Princess Anne choose this specific moment to push for such a drastic, uncompromising change to the royal living arrangements? To understand the weight of this decision, we have to look back at how these residences have been managed for decades. Traditionally, the various wings of Buckingham Palace, Kensington Palace, and the numerous cottages dotting the Windsor estate have been used to house not just the core working members of the family, but also a variety of non-working relations. These grace and favor homes were often granted as a sign of monarchical affection or as a reward for past service, allowing extended family members to live in high-security, high-status environments at little to no cost to themselves. It was a perk of being part of the royal orbit. However, as the world changes, so does the level of scrutiny on the monarchy's finances and its use of public resources. King Charles has long spoken about his vision for a slimmed-down monarchy, a leaner, more efficient institution that provides clear value for the taxpayer and focuses its resources almost exclusively on those who are actively serving the public. In the current climate, where every penny of the sovereign grant is under a microscope and the crown's public image is more sensitive than ever, the administrative and security costs of maintaining private quarters for people who do not actually work for the firm has become a significant point of contention behind the palace walls. It is no longer just about maintaining tradition, it is about transparency, accountability, and the survival of the institution in a modern age. The evidence that a major shift was coming has been mounting for weeks, hidden in the dry language of official reports. Royal insiders have pointed to a recent and very significant update in the sovereign grant reporting standards. These new rules now require much more transparent auditing of what is being categorized as secondary residence usage. In other words, the accountants are now asking exactly who is sleeping in which room and why the British public should be footing the bill for the heating, cleaning, and security of people who are not on the official royal payroll. This auditing shift provided the perfect opening for the monarchy's two most pragmatic and traditionalist figures to step in and demand reform. Observers recently noted that Prince William and Princess Anne were seen in a lengthy, unscheduled meeting at Windsor earlier this week. This was not a social visit or a casual family tea between a nephew and his aunt. This was the kind of high-level summit traditionally reserved for discussing the very future of the firm's logistical and financial operations. It was during this meeting that the final details of the residency mandate were reportedly hammered out, with William and Anne presenting a united front to the king, arguing that the time for vague housing arrangements has passed. They are increasingly seen as the enforcers of royal standards, the two people most dedicated to protecting the institution's reputation from the public perception of harboring hangers-on. But the real heart of this revelation, the part that is causing the most friction within the family hierarchy, is the news that Prince William has been appointed as the final arbiter for all temporary residency permits within the royal estates. This is a massive consolidation of power in the hands of the heir to the throne. It means that the Prince of Wales, supported by the unwavering Princess Anne, now effectively holds the keys to every door in the royal portfolio. Any guest, any visiting relative, and even extended family members who have traditionally enjoyed the king's hospitality for weeks or months at a time must now pass what is being called a utility test. This test, overseen by William and Anne, will evaluate whether a person's presence in a royal residence contributes directly to the crown's official mission. If you are not there to work, you are not there to stay. This move has immediate and awkward implications for Queen Camilla. For years, Camilla has maintained her own extensive social circle and has traditionally invited a wide range of friends and family members to stay at various royal properties, especially during the busy summer months at Balmoral or the festive season at Sandringham. Under these new rules, those invitations are no longer longer hers to give freely. Her guests will now have to be vetted and approved by her stepson, a man who is clearly focused on tightening the inner circle and excluding anyone who does not fit into the professionalized, service-oriented future he envisions for the monarchy. This creates an incredible amount of tension at the very top of the royal hierarchy. Imagine the atmosphere within the palace when a queen consort realizes she no longer has the unilateral authority to host her own family in the home she shares with the king. This is not just a dispute about floor space or guest lists. It is a fundamental shift in the balance of power from the current reign toward the next. By taking control of the estates now, William is essentially beginning his reign before he even takes the throne. He is clearing the decks of what he sees as administrative clutter and potential public relations liabilities. He and Princess Anne are removing the gray areas that have allowed for past controversies regarding royal housing, those awkward headlines about who is living where and who is picking up the bill for their lifestyle. They are sending a clear, loud message that the monarchy is a professional organization, not a social club for the elite. The impact of this is going to be felt immediately by the so-called social royals, those members of the family who enjoy the status and the perks of their titles without the burden of the heavy workload. For them, the palace gates are effectively being slammed shut, and the era of the grace and favor lifestyle is coming to an end. This administrative shift didn't happen in a vacuum, and to understand why the king finally put pen to paper on this residency mandate, we have to look at the mounting pressure from the accountants and the auditors. For the last few years, the way the royal family uses its vast portfolio of homes has been under intense internal review. Sources close to the palace have pointed to a very specific and significant update in the sovereign grant reporting standards. This isn't just boring paperwork, it is a fundamental change in how the monarchy is forced to justify its expenses to the British public. These new standards now require a much more transparent and granular auditing of what is being officially categorized as secondary residence usage. In the past, there was a certain level of discretion, a don't ask, don't tell policy regarding which cousins or friends were staying in which palace apartments, but those days are gone. The public is now demanding to know exactly how sovereign-owned properties are being utilized, and more importantly, who is paying for the upkeep of rooms that are essentially being used as private holiday homes for people with no official role. This auditing shift provided the perfect opening for the two members of the family who have become the most vocal advocates for a modern, accountable institution, Prince William and Princess Anne. It is no coincidence that just days before this mandate was announced, observers at Windsor noted a lengthy and unscheduled meeting between the Prince of Wales and the Princess Royal. This was a high-level summit, the kind of meeting that only happens when the long-term logistical future of the firm is at stake. William and Anne have increasingly become a formidable duo within the family, often seen as the enforcers of the king's vision for a slimmed-down monarchy. They are the pragmatists who understand that for the monarchy to survive the next 50 years, it must shed the image of being an exclusive club for the landed gentry and their extended relations. During this meeting, they reportedly presented the king with a clear choice: either continue with the old opaque system of housing guest lists and risk a public relations disaster during the next audit, or draw a hard line in the sand and professionalize the royal estates. They argued that the monarchy's homes should be viewed as strategic assets, not as perks of the bloodline. And it was out of this meeting that the most radical part of the new decree emerged, the part that is currently causing the most friction within the family's social circles. The core of this revelation, and the detail that has caught the entire household by surprise, is that King Charles has officially appointed Prince William as the final arbiter for all temporary residency permits across the royal estates. This is a massive consolidation of authority. In effect, the Prince of Wales, with the full backing and advice of Princess Anne, now holds the keys to every sovereign-owned door in the country. From the guest wings at Sandringham to the private apartments in Kensington Palace, if you want to stay there for more than a few days, you now have to go through William's office. This isn't just about security clearances, it's about a new, uncompromising evaluation process being called the utility test. This test, designed by William and Anne, will be used to vet every single request for temporary residency. It asks a simple but devastatingly effective question: does this person's presence in a royal residence contribute directly to the Crown's official mission? If the answer is no, if the stay is purely social, a matter of family convenience, or simply a tradition, the permit will likely be denied. The utility test is the tool William is using to dismantle the culture of entitlement that has existed for generations. The immediate fallout of this decision is being felt most acutely by Queen Camilla. For years, Camilla has has enjoyed the traditional right of a queen consort to host her own family and her extensive social circle within the royal residences. During the summer at Balmoral or the Christmas holidays at Sandringham, her children, grandchildren, and close friends have often been invited to stay for extended periods, effectively using the palace wings as a revolving door for her private life. Under the old rules, these invitations were hers to give freely, a natural extension of her position as the king's wife. But under the new mandate, that privilege has been stripped away. Her guests are now subject to the same utility test as everyone else, and the person who gets to decide if they pass is her stepson, Prince William. This creates an unprecedented and incredibly awkward dynamic at the very heart of the royal household. Imagine the tension at the dinner table when the queen consort realizes she no longer has the authority to host her own grandson in the home she shares with the king, simply because the Prince of Wales has determined that the visit doesn't serve a crown-related utility. This move by William and Anne is a calculated effort to remove what they see as the gray area that has plagued the monarchy for years. They are looking back at past controversies, the headlines about who is living in which grace and favor cottage, the questions about taxpayer-funded security for non-working royals, and they are determined to ensure that those stories never happen again. By implementing these hardline rules now, William is essentially clearing the decks. He is a man who is already thinking like a king, focused on ensuring that when he eventually takes the throne, the royal estates are already streamlined, professionalized, and free of any administrative clutter or potential public relations liabilities. He and Anne are signaling that the future of the monarchy will be defined by service, not by status. They are making it clear that being a member of the royal family is a job, not a lifestyle. For the social royals, those who have spent decades enjoying the prestige of the palace without the burden of the public workload, the message is loud and clear. The party is over, and the keys are being handed back to the core team. The driving force behind this dramatic consolidation of power and the implementation of the utility test is Prince William's long-term vision for a professionalized and streamlined monarchy. As we have seen throughout this shift in palace protocol, William is not interested in maintaining the status quo just for the sake of tradition. He is looking decades into the future. By working so closely with Princess Anne, he is aligning himself with the one person in the family who has always prioritized duty over the trappings of royalty. Together, they are systematically removing the gray areas that have allowed for past controversies regarding royal housing to flourish. For too long, the vague nature of grace and favor residences has provided an opening for public criticism, especially when the perception is that non-working members of the family are living a subsidized lifestyle at the taxpayers' expense. William and Anne are determined to shut that door once and for all. They understand that every residence, every apartment, and every guest room is a strategic asset that must be managed with the same level of transparency and efficiency as any modern corporate estate. This is about more than just managing a property portfolio. It is about protecting the crown from future liability. By implementing these hardline residency rules now, William is essentially cleaning house before his own reign even begins. He is clearing away the administrative clutter and the potential public relations pitfalls that come with having a sprawling, unvetted social circle living within the palace walls. It ensures that when the time comes for him to take the throne as King William V, the institution will already be operating under a model of absolute accountability. The message is clear. The monarchy is no longer a family business where relatives can expect perks based solely on their bloodline. It is a professional organization where access is earned through service. This radical shift in how the royal estates are governed is the clearest indicator yet of the kind of King William intends to be, one who is pragmatic, disciplined, and entirely focused on the survival of the firm in a skeptical modern age. The immediate consequences of this decree are reaching far beyond the logistics of guest rooms, as they represent a significant reduction in the influence of the so-called social royals. These are the members of the family who have traditionally enjoyed the high-status life of the palace without the heavy burden of official duties. For them, this residency mandate is a cold wake-up call. By blocking Queen Camilla from using certain palace wings as a revolving door for her own social circle and family members, William and Anne are reinforcing the authority of the working core. They are creating a physical and symbolic barrier between those who serve the crown and those who simply benefit from it. This is a direct challenge to the old way of doing things, where the personal preferences of the queen consort often dictated the atmosphere and the guest lists of the royal homes. Now, that influence is being curtailed in favor of a strict, utility-based approach overseen by the heir to the throne. As we look at the empty corridors and the newly vetted guest lists at Windsor and Kensington Palace, it becomes obvious that the future of the monarchy will be defined by service, not status. The era of the royal residence as a private social club for the elite is effectively over. This protocol change might be our first real look at the operational style of King William V's future court, a court that is leaner, more focused, and much less tolerant of those who do not contribute directly to the crown's mission. It is a move that has certainly caused friction behind the scenes, but it is one that many see as a necessary step for the monarchy to remain relevant and respected. But this brings us to a fundamental question about the direction the royal family is taking. Is this a necessary and vital modernization of the institution, ensuring its survival for the next generation? Or is Prince William being too harsh on his extended family and his stepmother? By stripping away the traditional perks of the family circle, is he risking a sense of isolation within the palace? Or is he correctly identifying the only path forward for a 21st century monarchy? This protocol change is more than just a new rule book. It is a manifesto for the future of the British throne. We want to hear your take on this major shift. Is William right to tighten the inner circle and put the royal estates under such strict oversight? Share your thoughts in the comments below. We'll be tracking which members of the family are the first to be affected by these new residency rules and how Queen Camilla responds to this challenge to her authority. So make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss our next deep dive into the changing world of the British monarchy.